Welcome to this short learning insight. I hope you enjoyed today's learning. Sometimes as leaders, we're faced with problems and we tend to approach them from the same perspective, with the same view, and with the same type of problem-solving strategy or approach. So today I wanted to introduce you to the multiple frame analysis. This is a particular model created by Bolman and Deal. The idea is that when we look at a situation, a problem, or an environment, we want to look at it from 4 different frames or perspectives. And I find this model really helpful because if I'm looking at a problem from one perspective, considering these 3 other frames helps me look at it from a completely different angle than I might have if I didn't have this frame analysis available to me. So it's really approach for leadership. The idea is to look at 4 different points of view to look at the same situation. And we will approach the problem from a different way based on the frame or the perspective that we're looking at the problem through. So let me walk you through. The first one is a structural frame or perspective. The second one is a human resource perspective. The third is political, and the fourth is symbolic. Now, we can always look at every situation from all 4 of these perspectives to really give us a balanced view and approach. Some of you may favor or be comfortable or find that your dominant way of looking at things is through one of these particular lenses. And it'll make you flex your style and approach as a leader if you look at some of the others. Okay, let's take a look at these more closely. Structural framework. This is the more sort of logical, theoretical, realistic kind of view. We look at how our organization is structured, what our processes are in place, what are the facts and data, and what's the problem, how can we solve it. Usually the way we approach it is to figure out what our goals are, what we have available to us from an environmental perspective in terms of resources. We look at the structure, reporting, things like that. And then we come to a logical, rational decision to the problem, and we don't really consider the emotional side or different perspectives. This is usually very helpful when the information's clear, when we can kind of identify a cause and effect relationship or solve the problem logically, and there's little conflict or uncertainty in the environment. So now let's talk about the human resource framework. This is a very different perspective and approach. These leaders tend to look at a problem or a situation from a human perspective, from a people view. They consider how the problem or situation affects people, how people might be feeling about the situation, and what feels like the best decision to make in the situation. Here we try and support our employees, we try to listen, we communicate well, we empower people, and we try and solve the problem together as a team. This particular perspective works well if the environment is fairly stable, people get along well, and the morale is high, and we can solve the problem together. The political framework. Here we understand that people are naturally political, that there's hidden agendas, that our resources are scarce, and there'll be competition for those resources, and that there's subgroups or silos or in-groups and out-groups that we need to work within and respond to in order to solve our problems. Here we look at negotiating, we get buy-in, we try and cross bridges between 2 different factions, and we try and work with the political environment to make it supportive and conducive to creating the change or solving the problem that we want. And we know that that won't happen unless we get buy-in from all the key champions. Lastly, the symbolic framework is one where we realize that in order to solve a problem or go to a new place, we need to create a strong vision, inspire people, and have them feel like they're part of something important. Symbolism can happen in terms of ceremony or rituals or norms within the company. I had one client once who cut out a hole in his office door and put a glass in as a symbolic gesture of showing that his company needs to stop being in silos and behind closed doors and starting to communicate and have more transparency and openness. This approach works very well when we are uncertain about the future, where there's no clear right or wrong way or decision to make, and that we need to make major shifts or changes and get buy-in and instill belief in people and move forward from that perspective. So I hope you found this insight helpful. If you'd like to learn more about Bolman and Deal's work, they have a new book out called Reframing Organizations, and you can find it on Amazon or Indigo.